There were billions of human settlements outside of Earth's protective atmosphere, scattered across the stars like fallen leaves in the cosmic wind. We lived in cities carved in asteroid interiors, whole floating arcologies orbiting gas giants, even gargantuan habitats that rode the tails of comets as they fell to new systems. And yet for all those colonies that reached for the heavens, there was always something special about home. The mountains and rivers of Earth were remembered in sonnets and sung about in mournful blues. Even after generations living elsewhere, most of us still dreamed of green fields and blue skies, of walking barefoot on cool grass and breathing air that tasted of ozone and pine. But now we are trapped behind the wall. It wasn't always this way. Once humanity reached for the stars, we built cities in orbit, seeded gardens on Mars, and spoke to neighbors in distant galaxies. But our hope turned to chaos, war, hunger, floods. The Council of Species watched, and when Earth was weak, they sealed us off. They called it protection. In truth, it was exile. No ship could break through the shimmering energy barrier that circled the solar system. No message could get out. For years, Earth faded, cities drowned, crops died. Many believed it was the end, but hope never truly died. I'm a reporter aboard a generation ship en route to Proxima B. This is the story of how we broke through the Enzo wall and returned to the stars. It began deep in the ruined core of Nairobi. Long after the oceans rose and drowned the coast, long after the storms eroded the skyscrapers to dust, there in the red heart of Africa, hope flickered. A young woman named Zahra Kendi survived by her wits. Day after day, she dug through broken towers and sunken trains, searching for anything useful: batteries, seeds, old computers. At night, she cared for a group of orphaned children, telling them stories of stars and green worlds, so they would unforget there was more to life than the gray rubble around them. One night, digging through the ruins of an old apartment block, Zahra found a small metal box. Inside, nestled in layers of foam, was an old council beacon. It was cold to the touch, but when she held it up, its surface flickered with light. At first, she thought it was a miracle, some forgotten technology come to save them. But then the beacon turned, revealing a single word: revival. Then it blinked again, and a new word appeared, beneath. It took Zahra weeks to figure out what the beacon wanted. It led her on a hunt through the radioactive ruins of Nairobi, finally to a place where two words appeared, beneath the mountain. The mountain was Kilimanjaro, Africa's tallest peak, its snow-capped summit cut through the clouds. To Zahra, it looked like a shard of the stars themselves. Few dared go near it because the slopes were controlled by ruthless warlords who ruled with iron fists. But Zahra had nothing left to lose. She crossed the storms, fought off packs of angry drones, and climbed into the heart of the mountain. It was an extinct volcano, silent for thousands of years. Inside, the air was cold and thin. Zahra struggled to breathe, but she pushed on, following a faint hum that seemed to call to her. Finally, she saw it, half buried in rock, the old fusion hub. It was a machine the size of a small house. Its sleek white walls and curved windows looked like a relic from another age. It was covered in vines, but as Zahra brushed them away, she saw that it was still alive, still humming, hidden from the council's eyes. The AI showed her the plan, a way to heal Earth, not just for humans, but for every life form. The project was a blueprint biospheres, seeds, and a quantum signal that could break through the wall if sent at the right moment. Zahra called others to help. Hackers from Mars, gardeners from L5, engineers from Shanghai. For months, they worked together in the hub, restoring the signal tower and tending the ancient seeds. They worked by firelight, shared old songs, and hoped for one last miracle. They laughed at jokes that were centuries old and told ghost stories of the before times. Zahra and the others didn't know each other very well, but they didn't need to. They knew why they were there. They understood the cost of failure. They would risk their lives to send that signal, hoping it would reach someone, anyone, out there in the galaxy. When the storm season came, Zahra climbed the mountain for the final time. The fusion hub was ready. Children from the ruins sent messages of hope, their voices woven into the code. The journey to the stars began with a whisper from the heart of Africa. With trembling hands, Zahra launched the signal. It arced through the sky, a silver needle aimed at the heart of the wall. The council expected peace. They hadn't monitored the transmissions because they assumed that Earth was dead. Their sensors only picked up static. And then suddenly their instruments flared. Across the galaxy, council ships saw the impossible. A voice from Earth, filled with laughter and longing, echoing through every channel. "We are still here. We are ready to return," it said. The council panicked, but the wall kept breaking. Flowers grew in the cracked concrete, clouds brought rain to the deserts. On Mars, gardens bloomed. People danced in the rain for the first time in decades. Other worlds felt the signal too. They used Zahra's code to heal their own wounds, restoring lost forests and polluted seas. After centuries, the great silence was shattered. The galaxy heard from Earth again, messages flew back and forth, ships prepared for arrival, and as the wall fractured, a million stories started to unfold. On Earth, people waited for rescue, some clinging to hope, others resigned to their fate. But all of them wondered, did anyone remember us? Meanwhile, across the galaxy, entire worlds changed. When the wall came down, Zahra stood on the mountain, watching the first council ship drift through the broken barrier. Behind her, the children from the ruins cheered. Above them, the sun rose over a healed Earth. It had taken centuries, but life was returning. Green shoots burst through the rubble. Animals emerged from hiding. Birds wheeled overhead, their cries carried on the wind. It was a new beginning. As the sun climbed higher, Zahra saw them emerge from the rift, tall and slender, with skin like polished jade and eyes full of ancient wisdom. They were the Xi'an, a species whose lifespan stretched to millennia. They had almost been wiped out by the wars that racked the galaxy. Now they stepped out of their ship, brushing the African dust from their robes. "We received your call," said one of the Shan, his voice like wind chimes. "We bring our skills, our knowledge, and our regrets. We regret that we could not come sooner." Behind them, more ships arrived, carrying species from worlds both familiar and strange. Some were refugees like the Xi'an, fleeing from worlds that had become uninhabitable. Others had come to help, drawn by the promise of a new beginning. Among them, Dr. Eris Lacera, a veteran of 1,000 restorations, stepped out of his ship with a wide grin. He adjusted his goggles, his 4 arms already moving to examine the plants around him. "You have done well, little sister," he said to Zahra, his voice a musical trill. "This world is strong. It has endured. It is ready to bloom again." The crew of the Generation ship arrived, bearing gifts and grim memories. They carried tales of the long journey of fighting off raiders and coaxing life from lifeless rocks. They brought news from the stars, describing worlds that glowed with neon life and others buried under miles of ice. "Your call echoed through the void," said Captain Eva Rostova, her face lined with the hardships of interstellar travel. "It called to us across the darkness. It reminded us of why we reached for the stars in the first place." Among the crew were dozens of children born in the ship who had never seen Earth before. They gaped at the red Earth and cloud-filled sky, kicking up dust devils as they chased butterflies. Zahra smiled, watching them play. Her search for hope had brought a new generation home. Over the next few days, the visitors helped the survivors clear debris, plant crops, and repair buildings. Within weeks, entire communities had sprung up, sharing skills and stories from their travels. In the evenings, they sat around campfires, swapping tales of bravery and loss, of discoveries and dreams. For the first time in centuries, laughter rang through the ruined cities. People talked about the future, about rebuilding and reaching for the stars again. All the while, the signal from the mountain continued to pulse, touching other worlds, calling other souls home. From the ashes of the old world, something new was rising. Earth was not just saved, it became a beacon for all. The galaxy remembered humankind as a threat, but as the world that brought hope and life back to the stars. So this is how Earth went from silence to song. I'm a reporter aboard a Generation ship en route to Proxima b. When I made this report, I was still years away from seeing Earth for myself. By then, the planet had flourished, becoming a hub of culture and trade. It was also a reminder of what we had been and what we could be again. The galaxy was listening, and all because one woman dared to climb a mountain and send a whisper into the void.